thanks for attending today's licensing hearing. I will start by, I'll be following the procedure as in the bundle. So I would first of all like to start by getting everybody present to introduce themselves. My name is Richard Sweden. I appear to be chairing this morning's proceedings, and I'm the councillor for Wood Street Ward. Raja? Yeah.
I'm Councillor Raja from High Street Ward.
Councillor Mitchell Goldie, Enderby Ward, member of the Licensing Committee.
Well, you've met Chris already, but Susan has come up on my screen. Susan.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Susan Ferguson, a Licensing Enforcement Officer, presenting the hearing.
Right. Donia?
Donia Kalantari, Solicitor, Legal Services. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
Chris Foxton, Democratic Services, Clerk to the Committee.
And Medina, who I've not met before.
Yes, good morning. Medina Haji, Trainee Solicitor, Legal Services. Thank you.
And Sherman.
It's just Susan from Licensing this morning.
Okay. Oh, Sherman seems to be on the. He seems to be on the list of participants. Okay, which I was scanning down, just observing. Oh, we've had see. Okay. Thank you very much. So could I now call on Susan, who will outline the procedure.
Well, it would either be Donia or Medina.
Sorry, I'm calling on Donia to outline the procedure. I'm sorry.
Sure, that's fine. We'll proceed by agenda item 4 on page 7 of the agenda pack. The licensing officer will present their report. The chair will then call for all parties to present their case. We will begin with the applicant. This will be followed by questions. There are no responsible authorities as they seem to have withdrawn their representations, and there are also no other parties present. The chair will then call for all parties to sum up their case, and again, this will only be that applicant. The subcommittee will then retire to make its decision. The decision will usually be given, will usually be given in writing with full reasons within 5 working days. Thank you.
Do excuse me, I didn't ask Guy to introduce himself.
That's okay, Chair. I didn't take offence. So my name's Guy Hicks. I am representative for Dad's LLP, and I'm representing Rusty Bike today. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay. Right. So, sorry. Now, could I ask Susan to present the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. An application for the grant of a premises licence has been received on behalf of Mr. Tyra Patikon from Dad's Solicitors. The application for a grant seeks a premises licence to permit provision of live music, Monday to Sunday, 9 to 2300, provision of recorded music, Sunday to Thursday, 9 to midnight, Friday to Saturday, 9 to 0200, late night refreshments, Sunday to Thursday, 23 to midnight, Friday to Saturday, 23 to 0200. Supply of alcohol, Sunday to Thursday, 0900 to midnight, Friday to Saturday, 0900 to 0200. Non-standard timings, an additional hour the day when British summertime commences, end of permitted hours on New Year's Eve, until the start of the permitted hours on the following day. The Sunday of all bank holiday weekends, including Easter, Christmas, Eve and Boxing Day. Hours open to the public are Sunday to Thursday, 0900 to 12:30 midnight, Friday to Saturday, 0900 to 0230. The applicant currently benefits from a premises licence at these premises. All the above proposals are the same as the existing premises licence. However, some of the conditions have been adapted or changed. A full copy of the application can be found at Appendix A to the report. During the consultation period for the licensing service, received 28 relevant representations, 2 from responsible authorities, the Metropolitan Licensing Police and Premises Licence, the local councillor K. ISA and 25 other persons that relate to the prevention of crime and disorder and public nuisance licensing objective. We also received 1 representation in support of the application. 5 representations have subsequently been withdrawn, 2 of which are from the responsible authorities based on agreement and acceptance of a condition surrounding SIA door supervisors being present. After giving due consideration to the representations made and taking into account the views of the applicant, and after giving due regard to the amended guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act and the Council's own statement of licensing policy, the committee is respectfully asked to determine whether the application for a premises licence should be granted in full, granted in part, or refused. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Susan. Do we know why the other objections were withdrawn?
So they've not been withdrawn. Only like I said there, only 3, I think it was, had been withdrawn. But the others have not been. I've not, in fact, received a response at all from the others.
Okay.
One of the reasons could be is that a lot of the representations came in for extended hours, so it was almost as if somebody had, prompted everybody. There's an application in at this premises, and everybody just appeared to look at it as if the hours had been extended. So the majority of them for hours extended. We actually emailed them and asked them to look at it again. And they've not, some withdrew, some didn't bother to come back at all.
Okay, but just to be clear, your team, our licensing team, and the police have withdrawn, have they?
That's right.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, and just to clarify, the representations that are included in the bundle from residents are still valid. That none of them have been withdrawn.
None of them withdrawn, apart from the ones. There are some that have been withdrawn. However, they are still valid. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for that clarification. And so let's proceed. Now I can call upon Guy to present the case for the rusty bike.
Thank you, sir. Would you like camera on, or are you happy not to see my ugly face?
I feel you'd be more convincing if the camera were on.
There we go then, sir. Let's get that on.
But it's up to you.
No, I'm happy to have it on, sir. Thank you. I think I need to start by just reiterating some of the points that have been made there already. This application is in fact not an extension of ours. There's actually no change to the hours at all. They're hours that the venue already operates within that premises. Likewise, the activities, in fact, some of the activities have actually been reduced on the new application. The point of the application was to tidy the conditions and to remove some conditions that are perhaps irrelevant, or to reword others. And the idea behind that was to make it easier for the operators to operate their license within the licensing objectives. And also, as a consequence of doing that, it's made it actually easier for those that carry out enforcement against the premises, again, to work within those conditions where needs be. And I'm pretty sure that won't arise, but should they need to go and enforce against the venue, the conditions are far clearer. On that basis, I would ask you to refer, and I'm sure you've read this document, but refer back to Appendix D, which is basically a very helpful grid that the police have drawn up, which we would normally do ourselves. It's been very helpful and shows where the license has been tidied or indeed tightened up. And you'll see as you go through that document. Sorry,
which page is Appendix D, Guy?
I'll give you a page number.
73.
May I just say,
Start from 59.
licensing drew up the grid.
Oh, sorry. Well, licensing have been very helpful then, and I'll take that back about the police.
Thank you.
And I will refer that
phrase
back to licensing. Obviously, it's a lovely document. Thank you. So as we go through that, you'll see that as you turn through those pages, most of the activities and the hours remain the same. And when you get to page 63 of your bundle, you'll see there that some of the regulated entertainment activities have actually been moved, which is regards to plays, films, sporting events, performances of dance, etc., etc. They've now gone. So there's a reduction there. It then goes on to conditions within the license, and you'll see on the left-hand side the conditions that we've applied for to amend, and on the right-hand side what's on the existing license. And as we page through that, you'll see wording such as C18 of 21 on the application, reworded to be more enforceable. The next one, reworded to be more enforceable. Condition there removed because it's a mandatory condition, reworded to be more enforceable and relevant. I'm not going to go through the whole document, Chair, unless you want me to, but I just wanted to highlight those points to you that actually we're tightening this license up. We're not trying to make the license more flexible, as it were. And that's the aim of this application. You'll also see on there that obviously the police and licensing enforcement have withdrawn. They had a concern in relation to SIA. The condition of SIA on the license was quite weak. We've actually tightened that up now, and I think you have an additional supplementary part to your bundle.
Yeah, it was quite short.
Yeah, on page 3 of that, you'll see there's now a stricter licensing, SIA condition, which now reads a minimum of 1 SIA licensed door supervisor shall be on duty at the premises from 2100 until 30 minutes after the premises closes on Friday and Saturday and any day which precedes a bank holiday. So we've obviously tightened that up. You'll also see that there are things such as, at the moment currently on the license is a challenge 21. We've increased that to challenge 25. So there's lots of areas here where we're actually making this license tighter, compared to what is actually in existence. I'm going to very briefly touch on the representations of the public. Having gone through those, it's already been identified, but I do want to touch on it that many of those are rejecting that application. I want to object to the application because it's an extension of hours. It's not. That the premises is already operating until 2 in the morning. And they've been operating with what I would consider to be, in my professional opinion, a weaker license, with sort of easier conditions to operate. We obviously want to tighten that and make it more rigid under the licensing objectives. And obviously, I'll reiterate again that police and licensing enforcement have actually withdrawn. Chair, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sure the public reps will come up in discussion rather than going through each of those. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Guy. Do my colleagues have any questions? Mitchell, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a question regarding the side area of the premises on Connaught Avenue. Am I correct in saying that's currently not in the licence and your application seeks to allow licensable activities in that area? My second question is the conditions that are applied to the licence after the 13th of June 2018 licensing hearing in regards to the SIA door staff. I think there was a condition, if I remember rightly, for 2 SIA door staff. The amendment you're making is for 1. There was also, correct me if I'm wrong, licensing, but this venue has come to licensing a number of times from the previous DPS for a number of issues, a number of problems that occurred at the venue, and there was a condition on the license, and I think it's referenced on page 73, in which no drink should be taken outside the premises after 21 hours on a Friday, Saturday, or any day that precedes a bank holiday. And I believe that related to a screening outside of the premises. If a screening wasn't there, that licensing condition applied. If the screening remained, it wasn't a problem. Yes, it's page 72 and 73. The planning permission part about the screening. Are you intending to keep the screening? And if so, why have you applied for this condition to be removed? And the same question about the Connaught Avenue licence, or the area around Connaught Avenue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, I might answer those in reverse, if I may. So the screening condition, if I can find that on the current licence, just bear with me, please. I'm going to start talking because I think I can deal with this from memory. So I think you're talking about condition 8 and condition 9 under a heading within the old licence.
That's correct. Yeah.
So firstly, we would say that these guys are new operators. So, you know, from a historical point of view, it's a new DPS, new premises licence holders. They weren't in the premises when these previous issues occurred. In terms of the condition 8 and 9, I'm nearly there now. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it basically says, yeah, subject to planning permission, screenings erected around the front of the garden area, which is condition 8. And condition 9, in the absence of condition 8 being in place, A to C below will apply. And that relates to number of patrons, 2 SIA door staff, and no drinks outside the premises. Firstly, we would say that the screening is up. There are screens around the premises that have been put in place by the new operators. Secondly, the 2 responsible authorities have withdrawn on the basis that we've now got a stricter SIA condition in place together with those screens. I tried to ascertain the reason for those screens and what those screens should be made of. I mean, I think that's quite a open condition that, you know, screens could mean bits of plastic, it could mean wood, it could mean brick. It's so open to interpretation. I tried to ascertain why those screens are in place, and historically it's to do with drugs being passed over the wall. And the police were satisfied that if we actually had SIA operating on the doors there to prevent that from happening, together with the screens that we've already put up ourselves, you know, we could remove those 2 conditions. Hopefully that answers that point. I would also add that the operators themselves will always operate with 2 SIA, and they've been doing that since they've been there. And that's not likely to change, but the reason we've gone for the 1, it just gives them a bit of flexibility in terms of if for some reason a door supervisor doesn't turn up at the moment, it has no real effect on the licence. But if they don't turn up when they're conditioned, they have to close their premises. It has a financial impact on them. They assure me the likelihood of that happening is virtually nil because they employ their own 2 door staff. They don't employ a firm. So hopefully that will give you some comfort. Connaught Avenue, I would have to ask for a minute or so just to refer back to them because I'm not so familiar with the location. I think, and I don't 100% sure, but I think the screening down the left-hand side of the premises might cover the area of Connaught Avenue, but I'd have to clarify that with the operators.
Okay, thank Mitchell. You've got a follow up. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got a follow up. I just want to be completely clear. So the current license conditions regarding SIA members is 2. What you're applying for is for 1. And obviously in your statement you said that they intend to have 2. So I guess one would ask, why haven't you applied for 2? I appreciate you want a bit of flexibility, but if you're admitting that there was the license holder, realises there's a commitment for 2, surely the license should be for 2. And just on the Connaught Avenue, just for reference, this is not an area. The Connaught Avenue area is not an area. It's covered by the screening. It's an area to the left of the venue. It's a number of seats to the venue, and it's historically never been in the licensing area. So yeah, that just some context on that.
I'll go and get some context on that if I can, Chair. Just referring back to your point regarding the SIA. If condition 8 is met, we don't have to have any SIA at all. And we would argue that it has been met because there are now screens up. I appreciate, as I said, it's quite subjective, as in, you know, what do you actually mean by a screen? The condition is so weak. You know, it could be a bit of paper. You know, we would argue that we've actually met that. There are screens up. Therefore, condition 9 on the current license doesn't actually apply. We don't have to have any of those things in place. So what we're saying is by removing that, we're actually making it, you know, it's tighter. We're actually saying we will now have a commitment to having a minimum of 1 SIA. And in all likelihood, that will be more, because that's how the venue, you know, operate comfortably. Chair, would you like me to just briefly mute myself and speak to the operators, just so we can get this Connaught Avenue issue sorted?
I think that would be helpful, yes.
2 minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, thank you for that. I sought clarity from Connaught Avenue won't be used, and if that needs to stay as a condition on the licence, so be it. Sorry, Chair, you're on mute.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Roger, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would like to know that when the closing time and people are leaving, is there any complaints from the neighborhood? Is too much noise or too much rubbish outside the premises? Second thing, number second is that those SIA license, are they there from soon that the premises are open for the business till they close?
Chair, you happy for me to answer those?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so the SIA are there from 9 PM onwards. And in terms of complaints, we've been made aware of none, either from responsible authorities, and I clarified today with the operators, they've had no visits by members of the public, emails, phone calls, letters or anything complaining about any issues from their venue.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Roger. Is it easy for neighbours and well, basically neighbours and members of the public to contact the management?
Sorry, Chair. I'd have to very quickly flick through the licence of what we applied for. Normally, we'd put a condition on there asking that there'd be a phone number of the DPS available for members of the public.
That's what I was going to request, or that was the point. If I've missed it and it's in the application, I apologise for that.
It could be that I've missed it though, Chair. So let's have a quick flick through. I mean, at the end of the day, Chair, if it's not in there, the operators will agree to have their phone, a phone number of the DPS or the premises itself on display.
Yeah.
members of the public to contact whilst the premises is in operation, which is it's sensible.
Yeah. And could you just rehearse, which I'm sure it is in the bundle, the measures that are taken to ameliorate problems that take place at closing time or before closing time when patrons disperse?
So there is a dispersal policy in place. It certainly should be on the new licence. Bear with me, please. Yeah, so Chair, if I can take you to page 30 on your bundle.
Thank you very much.
There's a list of conditions there. So condition 7, endeavours to ensure nobody leaves with open bottles. No person should be able to leave the premises while in possession of a drinking vessel. There's one there in relation to noise. Then going to condition 10, notices to be prominently displayed at all exits, respecting the needs of local residents and premises. And then over the page 31, condition 14, the premises will have a dispersal policy in operation, a copy of which will be made available to the police and local authority officers when required.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. And could you just summarise, I don't want you to go at great length, the activities that are reduced compared with what went before? And I wondered, I had, this is hearsay, so in a way shouldn't form part of our decision, but I had understood that the conduct of this establishment was causing fewer problems of late. Mitchell might not be of that, might be able to give us intelligence on that, but I just wonder whether you could comment on those two things. Which activities are now being reduced, and has the nature of the establishment changed from its historical nature? I think it was more of a club, and I understand it's kind of more of a clubby pub now.
Yeah, so the activities that are being reduced are the those that are listed under other types of regulated entertainment: plays, films, indoor sport and events, performance of dance, and anything of a similar description.
Yeah, they don't normally cause much public disquiet, but
still a reduction, though, Chair.
Sorry.
Still a reduction.
Yes,
though.
yes, of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. What was your other point?
I just wondered if you could comment on has the nature of the establishment changed of late under its current owners? No,
so I would say it was a sort of pub, food available, and music. It's certainly not a club type atmosphere there. And I would comment that, in my experience, if there are issues caused by a certain venue, and they do get a regular visit there by the police, they've assured me today that the police regularly check in with them, and they're regularly assured by the police that they're doing well, and the police are happy. If that wasn't the case, I think the police would be sitting in this hearing now, as would licensing enforcement. And in our conversations, at no time have either authority, mentioned any of the issues that have been mentioned by the public. That's not to say that they don't happen. But I would argue that they don't get caused by the Rusty Bike and its operators. Well,
I take your point on that, but there again, we don't know that it isn't, that they're not.
No, there's no evidence to suggest. Nobody within these representations from the public has actually. I think there might be one or two that have actually mentioned Rusty Bucket. Most of them mention a premises called Essex House and Station House. They're talking about other premises.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
thank you.
Fair enough point. Thank you very much. Do my colleagues have any further questions for Guy? No. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Guy, for that. We don't have any responsible authorities or any other parties present, do we?
No, we don't, Chair.
No. So, curiously, Guy, it's now up to you to sum up your case, but
It'll be quite brief, Chair.
yeah, well, you haven't got much to answer apart from our questions, which you've answered.
I'm hoping they have been clearly answered. You know, I'll just summarise by saying that this is actually tightening of a licence. It's not an extension of ours. You know, I would hope that we're making life easier for responsible authorities as well as the operators themselves to operate under the 4 licensing objectives, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We now, what a thank you very much for a relatively brief hearing, Guy, for which we're always grateful. And it now behoves us to retire and consider our decision. I don't see the point of you hanging around online unless you particularly want to.
No,
so we will communicate the decision in a timely way as soon as possible, but certainly within the statutory limits.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair. Bye-bye.